AI is something that came on the scene regardless of where you sit politically and regardless of what happens politically. AI is coming, right? AI is coming. It was coming no matter how the elections went, no matter how the elections before that went, right? AI is coming and it's going to be used by your government, and it's probably something that you need to start getting familiar with, because it's going to be a tool for you as well as something that they are using to evaluate you.
Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we're going to be talking about the future of government contracts. As you guys have obviously seen in the news and just happening in the world, there's a lot of changes happening in government contracting in the year of 2025, and we're going to break it down for you. We're here with Sarah, the Director of Business Development for SAS-GPS, and the brains behind all the wins of SAS-GPS. How are you, Sarah?
One of many.
One of many, absolutely. We have a bunch of experts for sure. All right, my friend. So let's just get into it, because there's a lot to get into. And, we want to just, be respectful of everyone's time here. So what's happening with, the future of government contracts? Like, can you explain, there's this big change right now in FAR, and we'll put on the screen here. Like, I'll backtrack here, but all the, the terms that we talked about before in this video, I'll put them on the screen so people know what the heck they mean, right? So can you explain, Sarah, what's happening in the FAR overhaul and why it matters, to contractors in 2025?
Yeah. So I believe in April of this year, 2025, there was Executive Order 14275, which was titled Restoring Common Sense to Federal Procurement. And it requires basically FAR changes. So they're saying for every new procurement regulation that is added, you have to eliminate 10 to reduce complexity. Okay, so the aim is awesome. Streamline the FAR, remove outdated or unnecessary clauses, and make it more usable for government contractors, right? It's spearheaded by the FAR Council and the OFPP. It's just trying to kind of modernize federal contracting and reduce some of that bureaucratic friction, which is great, because I will tell you that FARs are confusing. What is not great about that is that when we've finally gotten used to them, they will change. And as soon as they do this, they will probably change again. So it is it is a sort of, Sisyphean task a little bit here for us on the procurement end of government contracting, right? The sort of ones who are trying to get government contracts. But, if they can honestly reduce the complexity, that would be an amazing overhaul. So we are seeing some changes. So that's good.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. And people want to be up to date. And we'll put links here in the description of where all that stuff is coming from. There's actually a blog that we're going to build out for this video. So we'll put the link here at the bottom of the video so you guys can go ahead and check those resources out. Now, obviously, DOGE is a big thing. It's a big thing for a while, right? But for those who live under a rock, what is DOGE and what's its impact currently in contracts? Okay,
so DOGE is the Department of Government Efficiency. It was established in February of 2025 to enforce cost-saving reforms across federal agencies. It has been controversial, and it has done some crazy things, and then it has pulled back all kinds of crazy things, and it's constantly changing. DOGE itself is changing. I'm not sure if it knows what it's doing in terms of its own future, but basically they have been working with agency heads to review, modify, and terminate inefficient contracts and grants within 30 days. There have been a lot of grants that got canceled or just not funded. Obviously we know that they also cut jobs and all kinds of things, but if we're just talking about government contracting, right? They took contracts down, then they realized they needed them and they tried to put them back up. So contracts have come up and down. Some people just lost their contracts altogether and they didn't come back up. They're also asking for mandated justifications for payments and trying to get some centralized reporting, with the aim to increase transparency and spending accountability. So DOGE is what I like to call the chaos monster in the group. Again, not necessarily like the FAR reform. Great, I love it. Right? Let's make things more efficient. But DOGE took a little bit of a path that left us all sort of not sure where we stand. And I do think though it is calming down recently.
Yep. No, for sure, 100%. Yeah, it's always good to to keep up to date on that stuff. We'll put all those resources underneath the video so people can make sure that they understand all the changes that are happening. Now, there's some changes in the small business world too, right? What are those changes for small business contractors that have occurred this year so far?
Okay, so they definitely put out some things that they wanted to change. Some of those have not actually taken effect. and may not take effect, right? But there was small business goals by each agency. And they are trying to move the small business contracting goal to be unified across the federal government. I also had seen some things talking about, getting rid of a lot of the small business set aside goals. That I don't think that's going to happen. But the SBA has proposed applying the rule of two at the task order level for multiple award IDIQ contracts, basically. And that's good for small businesses, I think, because it increases your volume as a set aside business. So if you do get on an IDIQ, instead of them guaranteeing you one thing, they're kind of guaranteeing you two. At the same time, I think the large primes are starting to be required now to report subcontractor payment delays that are over 30 days. And if so, that's also a good thing for small business reform, because it's going to make sure that you get paid in a timely manner if you are subcontracting. And that way you can continue to run your small business, because you probably don't have as large of a cushion, right? An ability to maintain without income as a large business. So the large businesses that will hire you to work their federal contracts or their government contracts, be them federal or state or municipal or whatever, are going to have a little bit more stringent payment requirements, at least at the federal level. And if they don't do well, then it will reflect on their CPARs, and it will reflect on their actual ability to do government contracting. So I think that that's an excellent small business change. So there's some good and there's some bad and there's some unknown for small businesses. Yep. Stay agile.
Yeah, that's business.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I think all that's great. And again, like I said, we'll put all that info down here below the video. And we have something coming into the spaces called the FIT Procurement Act, right? So walk us through, like, what is that? How is that affecting, the contracts that are happening right now?
So that was just a couple of months ago that it kind of got reintroduced, and it basically proposes raising the simplified acquisition threshold to $500,000 and the micro purchase threshold to $25,000. If it passes, and that is an if right now, okay, it would allow faster, sort of lower barrier federal purchases at that level. So it depends on what your business sort of does on whether or not it's going to be helpful to you, but it should make some of those things a little bit. The simplified acquisition process can make things much faster, especially once you get used to it. It also includes acquisition workforce training and reporting provisions. So although, it might be easier to do the contract, you're going to have some things on the back end sort of in terms of workforce training and some things like that. So the FIT Procurement Act is, we'll see. Keep your eye.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on it. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we'll keep you guys updated. And if there is if it does move forward, we'll probably release a video diving deeper into it and whatnot, right? Now, OTAs and CSOs for agile acquisition, right? So are alternative acquisition methods like OTAs and CSOs being used more widely?
I'm going to be honest with you, because we do proposals and writing. We don't do a lot of OTAs and CSOs. I just know what I'm hearing my clients say that do interact with those things. And they are saying that we are seeing the government take those things if they can a lot of the time, right? Along with rapidly increasing the timeline for from solicitation to response to award. They're really trying to compress that as well. So I think they're just trying to move quicker on some things, especially the DHS. I see that happening a lot in DHS. And I think DHS is also one of Department of Homeland Security, in case we're not clear here. And Department of Defense.
Yep.
That they are some of the departments that are using those OTAs and CSOs, which, by the way, let's pause here. Other Transaction Authority, OTA, and Commercial Solution Opening, CSO, they are letting them get some emerging tech and some R&D solutions without going through that entire process where they have to interact with the FARs. This might open doors for non-traditional vendors or perhaps some small tech startups to get some federal work through these sort of streamlined things. It also can make competition lower, or it's not pro-competition, right? Because you're not having a competitive process all the time, or as competitive of a process per se. And so who you know and your networking is going to, maybe start to become a little bit more important. So start thinking about that.
Yep, 100%. Right. Okay, great. And obviously AI is a huge player in the space right now, right? So how are we seeing artificial intelligence, being used in the process of contracts?
Yeah. So there, I hear, obviously, I'm not sitting behind the desk as a contracting officer, but I hear that they're helping them automate solicitation drafting, um, picking the FAR clauses, making sure that there's compliance checks. I know that contracting officers um, do have access to, and will get more access to coming up here really rapidly. The government just made a contract for AI across departments that uses the top 5 big platforms, but like not when they attach to the internet, right? It's still very private and
Yep.
closed. But they'll have some choices. Different departments are probably going to choose differently. So we'll see some variation probably in the agencies, but they're, trying to get packages out there faster and with fewer errors. I have yet to see the fewer errors part, but like, let's go. I'm down. GSA and DoD are piloting AI-based contract review tools that reduce cycle times, improve regulatory adherence, kind of aligning with the administration's broader push towards this digital transformation. But I think AI is something that came on the scene regardless of where you sit politically and regardless of what happens politically. AI is coming, right? AI is coming. It was coming no matter how the elections went, no matter how the elections before that went, right? AI is coming and it's going to be used by your government. And it's probably something that you need to start getting familiar with, because it's going to be a tool for you as well as something that they are using to evaluate you. So understanding how it works and how it checks and things like that will be helpful.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be advancements in AI as it develops. So for sure, keep an eye on that. Now, the other side of that is cybersecurity, right? Because you obviously have issues with that as well. So what are some cybersecurity requirements we're seeing now in 2025 that the government's like, hey, you got to have this?
Yeah, so there's the CMMC 2.0, which is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. They're moving that into enforcement. That is mostly Department of Defense. So contractors who are bidding on DoD contracts have to meet certain certification requirements based on the sensitivity of the information that they're handling. Some civilian agencies are also strengthening their requirements, aligning with Zero Trust Architecture, NIST, and some other things. A lot of it depends on what kind of data that you're handling, right? And so services are going to be different here than maybe, goods. The government contracting is such a broad spectrum, right? Like, I mean, you can be the person that sells manhole covers, or you could be, the team that does all the computer programming for the Space Force for satellite weapons in space, right? Like, so there's a very, very wide spectrum, and that cybersecurity is going to affect you differently depending on where you're at, right? But it is something definitely to pay attention to. Everybody uses computers nowadays, and cybersecurity is a thing that we all need to be kind of aware of, right?
Yep, 100% for sure. Right. And then we kind of move into the other aspects of it, like so ESG and sustainability in contracts, right? Are environmental and sustainability standards becoming mandatory in government contracts now?
Oh, well, they were for many, many, many years, especially the environmental aspects of it. They were increasingly being included as evaluation criteria. Sustainability goals, integrating ESG metrics, emissions disclosures, energy efficiency standards and solicitations. But we're seeing some of that being pulled back. And in fact, I've seen a couple of solicitations that were closed that reopened, and they said, hey, if you want to, you can go ahead and take out your environmental and sustainability sections, and we won't be holding you to those if you want to take them out and resubmit your proposal. So keep an eye on that one. I mean, I am just as a person pro sustainable standards and environmental things.
100%.
So if you've already got it in place, great. But you should just probably read each solicitation really carefully to make sure that, because there is changes, pushes going, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So just keep an eye on your particular solicitation would be my suggestion with that.
Yep, no, 100%. I think that's a smart way to look at it for sure. So, Sarah, I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of info for people to go through. Like I said, we'll
It's a
put
lot
all the
of
links.
for people.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have a thesaurus here at the or a Wikipedia of things at the end of this videos. But yeah, I mean that's why you work with experts so that you don't end up losing a solicitation because you put the wrong thing and then you look silly to a government contractor because like that's their like bread and butter that they're seeing all day, and you see on a contract you see something that's misspelled or the wrong acronym and they're like ha bye. Right. And you don't want to lose something for being silly. So Sarah, do you want to tell people how we help people win government contracts and how SAS-GPS kind of comes into the space? And obviously we know a lot about the space, but how do we actually help?
Yeah, so we help you with your actual solicitation and bid process, bid renewals, things like that. So we primarily, what we do is we work on a solicitation by solicitation basis for companies that we do sort of end-to-end proposal management. The solicitation comes out, we help you break it down, we help you know if you can bid it, we help you strategize what your best solutions are if you need help with those strategies, or even if you had your ideas, and kind of run them by our relevant past sort of knowledge that we have, and then we compliance matrix, document setup, write it all, make it pretty, and help basically do everything but submit it because you have to submit it to your contracting officer yourself. But we also do some areas of pipeline development, business development. It depends sort of on where your company's at. We work on a very bespoke basis because we are a small service disabled veteran-owned business. We've run over $45 billion in contracts. And really, I think the best thing you can do is if you're interested in a solicitation, a proposal, or any sort of support, is to just contact me. I am the person that sort of runs the kind of where we put people and whether or not we can help them, and then we'll go from there. And I'll just have a conversation with everybody like I do every day. I spend most of my hours on the phone.
Yep.
But as federal contracting in 2025 starts to kind of transition, it gets faster, this greater speed that things are moving at, the requirements for transparency and accountability on top of things having to go faster, evolving compliance requirements, these changes. We are a really helpful resource for a lot of people, and we can help you stay competitive and stay sort of aligned with the goals that you have as a company to win. And we like to win.
Yep.
So that's why we're here. That's why we're making these videos, so that we can help people.
Absolutely.
And not one at a time. So I don't have to spend my entire life on the phone.
Absolutely. That's what we want people to get as much value as possible. So so if you guys haven't subscribed, please do so. The button's going to be somewhere here at the bottom. But yeah, we're happy to help you guys out. You guys can come to our website, fill out a form. Sarah and the team will help you guys out. And we'll see you guys in the next video.